Hello, and welcome to my super fancy slideshow presentation about how to build a 1K per day copywriting business that you can take anywhere. As you probably know, I am Andrew Walton, and as you may or may not know, before I figured out how to make a great living online and have wonderful clients and build my own businesses, I went broke on 3 different continents: North America, Europe, and Asia. But today things are a little bit different, you could say. Recently, I've enjoyed taking a couple of 6-month mini retirements, once after I got married, another time after the birth of my first son, and I've had the pleasure of traveling to over 30 countries with my family. On the work side, I've worked in over 120 niches, started multiple businesses, and collaborated with a lot of, as I call them, the first ballot Hall of Famers of digital marketing, including Damon John, Robert Kiyosaki, Neil Patel, and a pretty long list that would, make this whole presentation twice as long. So I'll leave it at that. But you get the point, right? And today, when I'm not working on my chess business or with my own clients, a thing I like to do is show other up-and-coming copywriters, probably like yourself, how to create more opportunity than any reasonable person could possibly handle. The reason for that, pretty simple, right? So you can make a great living and basically be free to go on adventures like these. So, as you've probably heard, being all over the place, I'll actually go over here. Here are all the places I've gone, cool things that I've done, and I don't show you this to, brag. I'm not anything special, but when you figure out how to run your copywriting business, let's say the right way or a more effective way, maybe a different way, to strike that right time for money balance and work-life balance, well, I think this is available to pretty much anyone who wants to pursue it. So you might be thinking, the question I would understand you having is, 1K a day, is that really possible? And can I really do that? And you're not wrong to ask that question or wonder. So let me be completely transparent with you. I do not need a whole day to earn $1,000. I have other things to do, right? So most days I work between 3 and 5 hours, which comes to about 20 to 25 hours per week. As you can see, some weeks it's significantly less, some weeks it's almost not at all. Some weeks it is actually zero, and other weeks it's a little bit more. Like right now, I'm putting more effort into my chess business, into the presentation you're seeing now, and into some other projects. So, I'm bumping up to 30 hours, but it's a far cry from the 60-hour weeks I was working back when I got started in marketing, and it's afforded me the freedom to do a lot more and actually enjoy the fruits of my labor a lot more. So this 20 to 25 hours is about half of that is devoted to my chess business and some other projects. So really, the claim that I have made, I'm actually doing that in about a quarter of a typical workday, or somewhere between 10 and 12 hours per week. So is it possible? Absolutely. That being said, I think you'd agree that the 1K quarter day copywriter sounds super clunky, and more importantly, most people are obviously going to take much more time to do that, especially at first. And depending on where you're at, that 1K per day plank might take some time to get there. Maybe at first it's getting to $300 a day, and then $500, and then $700, and eventually you get to $1,000. Right? It's a progression. The whole point is to shortcut that process, streamline that process as much as possible, and then you ultimately decide where you want to take it. How much money is enough? How much time do you want? And all of that, right? So let's get to the real question then. What does it actually take to become the rare copywriter who can out-earn lawyers and doctors in a fraction of the work hours that they put in? Because you've been shown the dream, you've seen it all over the internet, you just saw a little bit of it from me. But you also know the reality that most copywriters, most freelancers in general, get stuck working for meh clients with meh clients for meh dollars. And that's really why we're here. I want to share my 1K day copywriter system with a small select group of my friends. Since you're here, you must be on my list. You must be among that number. So thrilled to be sharing this with you. What can 1K day copywriters do? Well, aside from the lifestyle stuff that I showed you, what actually goes into this? Well, first is getting what I call better than gold clients, because these are clients that don't just pay you money. There are all these other tangible and intangible benefits as well, right? They pay well, absolutely. They also value what you do and let you be the expert instead of micromanaging you and having you bang out the words that they would have written themselves had they had the time and patience to sit behind a laptop and do it, right? They give you performance data, they refer their friends and colleagues to you, and basically they're a shortcut up the income ladder for you. They also, or you as a 1K copywriter or a 1K copywriter, whoever that may be, delivers wins at higher rates than other copywriters, often even more experienced copywriters. They can start with nothing. You don't have to have a portfolio or proof or sexy names to drop or case studies, etc., etc. You don't need a website, a social media following. Literally, the requirement is a laptop and the desire to make big things happen. And then some of the techniques that I'll share in a minute. And of course, being able to do all this means that you can work pretty much however much you want. Maybe not an hour a month, but 20 to 30 hours a week. Sort of a healthy half-time, three-quarter time schedule. You could probably squeeze it down even lower, like I'm doing right now, in terms of actual copywriting client work. And you can do it from anywhere in the world. And that is, of course, as you already know. So I'm going to reveal the details of the whole system in a moment, but first, I have to massively oversimplify the business of copywriting to make an important point. So if you break all of the business of freelancing in general down, there are literally just two things you need. Yes, it gets complicated, but it really all boils down to two things. You need a way to get clients and get great clients, better than gold clients, dream clients, whatever you want to call them, right? And in my opinion, that system needs to be fully under your control, right? Not depending on anyone else, not depending on referrals or job boards or private groups or masterminds or anything like that, where you ultimately are not in control. That's the whole thing that leads to this roller coaster of income going up, income going down. If a client leaves, not knowing where the next one's coming from, right? All of that uncertainty, instability, and so on. So whatever your client getting system is, and that's whether you use my ideas or someone else's ideas or come up with your own ideas, the ideal situation to be in is that you are in control of that system, right? So that's the first thing. And then, of course, there's the other side of that. Once you get a client, you have to be able to serve them and serve them at a high level and make them happy. Typically, that means making them lots of money, but it also means delivering great service. And there are some copywriters who do a little bit of one and none of the other, or not a lot of either. Ideally, you want to be the person who delivers both. That probably sort of goes without saying, but that is, let's say, the holy grail, or that's what we're going after. So let's break this down and actually deal with some of that complexity, because as nice as this is, theoretically, obviously, when you get down into the trenches, it ain't as easy as someone doing a presentation like this might make it out to be. So challenge number one, getting your better than gold clients and getting paid. Let's also oversimplify this for the sake of ease. You have to figure out three things, right? The first thing is who you're going to reach out to, which is actually really difficult, especially if you're used to relying on job boards or other external sources, people, ecosystems for your clients. The mere decision of who to go after, that can cost a lot of energy. So first of all, it's figuring out who do you even go after, right? The next thing is, well, what are you going to offer them? What sort of value are you going to provide to them or propose providing to them, right? And then finally, I think the place a lot of people start and get caught up on is how you're going to approach them. What you'll find is if you figure out the first two, the last part actually becomes the easiest and it sort of goes away as a problem, but you sort of have to see it and do it to believe it. So here's, in my opinion, the secret sauce to making this all happen, right? I sort of just explained it. It's like I can hand you a dozen ways to find excellent prospects. And you can have the best outreach message ever written. You can have like 20 A-list copywriters work on it and give their stamp of approval. But if you don't feel like you have anything valuable to contribute, then you won't send that message, right? Ultimately, you have to have the confidence that by sending out that message, you're going to, if you get a positive response and someone wants to work with you, that you can actually deliver on the back end. Because otherwise it's like, why reach out to a dream client if you can't actually help? So, I mean, when I say this isn't like, oh, shame on you or something. I don't blame you for this, because I wouldn't send that message either if I wasn't sure that I could help. And I've been in that situation and haven't sent that message. That's the normal state of affairs. So the solution isn't like forcing yourself to send a message and where you don't feel like you can provide something of value. The solution is actually proving to yourself that you have something valuable to offer. Then sending an outreach message becomes easy, especially when you have someone helping you with what to say, or you have a template or something that you feel comfortable sending out, right? So I think the unique thing about my approach to getting clients is that it's designed to actually manufacture the confidence you need to do all of those steps, to do the outreach bit, to talk to the prospect and make an offer, confidently state your price, understand with the sort of internal understanding and feeling that if and when they say yes, you'll be able to deliver. Okay, so let me actually walk you through an example where, and I did this on video, I'll show you the screenshots, but I found a prospect, I identified a bunch of ways to help. Identifying those ways to help ahead of time is a way of manufacturing the confidence you need to actually reach out to them. It's not the only way, but it's one of the most effective ways, because you don't need anything to do it. You just have to do some of the digging, which I'll show you. And then wrote and send a simple outreach message. It doesn't require samples, proof, anything that a lot of people get caught up on. They're like, oh, I don't have all this experience. It doesn't require any of that. It also doesn't require inflating your past results or experience or lying or doing anything untoward. And I did this in less than 12 minutes. It was completely off the cuff. And those 12 minutes was while explaining the whole process to my audience. So this can actually be done even faster. Generally, when you're getting started, you probably want to take more time, do a little more due diligence, and really work on that confidence piece, right? But with that said, it doesn't have to necessarily take a long time. So what I did, I went to my Gmail promos tab, I found this ad here, and I clicked on the thing. So that was identifying the prospect. Now, obviously, this isn't the only way to find a prospect. It's also not it's not the best way to find the highest value prospects, but it's a quick and dirty way to find something, right? So I was doing it to make that point. Like, this doesn't have to be difficult. There are lots of other prospects you have that already exist in your pocket, so to speak, that you probably haven't even thought about, don't even know about. But anyway, after clicking on this ad, let's see, this is pretty small, so maybe we go to slideshow mode. All right, so this is what came up in my inbox. I took a look at this, went over to the website, saw what this was all about. So it's a research intensive for high school students with a top university. And I kept digging and found this idea of there's more competition amongst students to get into good colleges and universities and low acceptance rates. So it's like, that seems like the main problem that they're solving, right? And the mechanism for that, which I found, is get published in a scientific research journal. It's like, that's cool. That's really neat. That's something that you could take these two ideas and move that into this headline, for example. That's a way to help, make these things that they already have on their page more prominent. Continuing on, after looking through the whole page, I had this insight that this whole page is written to a student when the buyer is actually the parent. So the angle that this company could use that would probably make their sales go up would be write all of the copy to the parent and talk about how your child is going to have a better future, get accepted into the top colleges, make more income over the course of their life, have more success, etc., right? All the things that parents care about. Okay, so after that, knocked out an outreach email. One thing I love to do is grab the ad or email or a screenshot of something for context. It's like, hey, this is where I found you, right? That's the role that this is playing. And all in all, it took 11 minutes and 24 seconds to go from popping into my promos tab to hitting send on this email. And you can see that here. So this email, this is one of a ton of different ways to reach out. I could have done a reverse consultation. This is the Goodwill gig where it's like, hey, can I give you something valuable up front? But there are like more ways to potentially reach out to someone than I can describe right here. The reverse consultation, you've probably heard me talk about. That's where you offer to pay your prospect for 20 minutes, 30 minutes of their time, have them consult you on their business, and essentially help. It's like their role to figure out where you might be able to fit in, right? And there are a lot of other ways. Free ways, paid ways, relatively expensive, relatively inexpensive, where you're doing something up front, where you're getting paid up front, the whole spectrum, right? And I haven't shared this with a lot of people, but those with whom I have tend to be pretty pleased with the results as well. So if we end up working together, of course, I'll also help you go through this entire process of identifying prospects, figuring out how you can help, and crafting the outreach messages necessary to make contact and get a response. And ultimately, obviously, the goal is to land better clients, better projects, better rates, and all of that. So with that said, let's move to challenge number 2, actually getting clients results, because obviously getting the client it might be for some people the hard part of the battle, the intimidating part of the battle, but getting them results is obviously more important because you get one client results, that might be a client for life. The last time I worked with Neil Patel was the beginning of 2022 or the end of I think the end of 2021. And I worked with, say, Joel Irway since 2018. So, I have clients that go back to basically the beginning of my copywriting career, and I'm still working with them, not on a consistent basis, but on and off, even today. So when you can get clients' results, that drastically reduces the amount of that whole first stage that you have to go through. Anyway, I haven't done too badly for my clients. You can see some of them here. This was, I think, a Black Friday promo, so one day of sales. I have a couple $1 million days. But anyway, I mean, you can see that people, sometimes say nice things about me, which is lovely. But let's see, as nice as it is to have results for clients, I'm getting them for, say, if we work together, getting them for you in your specific niche or niches with your clients in your unique circumstances with your own strengths and weaknesses as a writer is something else. So while I've done it in more than 100 niches, you can see some of them here, like video game design and DJ soundtracks and rubber industrial products and online shoe repair. That's a cool niche. Destination wedding planning. And I've also basically flown it without a net, meaning I've consulted and done like off the cuff copy reviews where the stakes are high and I have to make things work. Initially with Neil Patel, that's basically where I got my start in the direct response world, working in his agency, also coaching people who had bought his advanced marketing program. As well as being the daily copy coach in the Copy Accelerator, where anyone at all could bring in their copy and I'd have to find ways to make it better. So often, not knowing the niche ahead of time, not knowing anything about the company or offer or product or audience, and still having to make it work. That's basically what I've built my career doing. So while I suspect that I can help you, I'd rather show you what I'm able to do in a brand new niche where I don't have any experience, don't have any preparation, and where I have to make something happen fast. So here's a control for a serious player in the health space. alongside new copy that I knocked out in just under 2 hours all told. And you can judge for yourself which is better. Maybe you'll think mine is worse. I don't know. We'll see for yourself. So the original is going to be here on the left, mine on the right, and I have highlighted in red things that I have changed. So initially it's like, hey, so-and-so here, and which is, putting yourself first above the prospect, above the listener or watcher. So simple change. Hey, did you know? And there are 3 drinks that you might think are healthy became we're told are healthy. Changing the frame from you're wrong about stuff, sort of with the like you're stupid undertone, releasing them of all blame and responsibility, right? That we are told are healthy, but could actually be the original crippling you from the inside out, shortening your lifespan. It's kind of like not super conversational, also not super compelling. So my simple idea, making it conversational, hard-hitting, making you fat, sick, and miserable, right? Nothing too fancy. If you don't stop drinking these unhealthy drinks, drink twice. It's like, becomes if you don't stop gulping down these unhealthy drinks, and you're in for a lot of pain and suffering, becomes your future will be filled with a lot more expensive hospital time and a lot less of everything else. There's actually an interesting thing going on here where we as copywriters often have to figure out how specific do I go, right? Do I go super, super general and they fill in all the gaps, or do I go ultra specific and there's no wiggle room? Here I found a middle ground, thinking that, okay, if I say expensive hospital time, that plunges them into the idea of being in the hospital, but then they get to fill in the gaps. I think of myself on the hospital bed, lots of tubes coming in and out of me, maybe the IV and some other stuff. But the audience might think of something else, right? That's for them to fill in. I've given them the circumstance, they fill in the details. That's the idea here. This section I just expanded. So these drinks are known and believed by true health experts, an awkward sentence, known and believed. I've expanded that to, with an idea, again, to remove them from blame and responsibility, and piggyback on the first section. And that's because, well, each of these drinks benefits from millions of marketing dollars designed to get us on the bandwagon, right? And there's also that external threat out there. True health experts from all over the world know them as this is a branded term that I've redacted, responsible for type 2 diabetes and all the suffering that comes with it. So this, a general phrase, but calling back to expensive hospital time and fat, sick, and miserable, right? So just building the pain. Okay, so the reveal. The first drink is diet soda. You've been lied to that it's healthy, blah, blah, blah. It's like, okay, fine. First, what I decided to do was call out not necessarily who they actually are, but who they aspire to be, right? Even someone who's sick, obese, doesn't make great health decisions, wants to see themselves as someone who is trying, who is doing everything they can, and it's not their fault that they're failing, right? So, for example, if you're the sort of health-conscious person trying to watch your sugar intake, right, the thing they aspire to, or might actually be, you've probably already made the switch to this first drink thinking you've done your body a favor. This, again, plays off this idea of each of these drinks benefiting from millions of dollars designed to get us on the bandwagon, right? So this now, even though it's saying thinking you've done your body a favor, I'm not calling them stupid. I'm saying, hey, you're the victim here. I'm talking, of course, about diet soda, which is sold as the healthy alternative to the regular sugary kind, but it's anything but healthy. In fact, you could argue it's even worse than the regular stuff. And finally, you see the second that first sip of diet soda hits your tongue, your pancreas gets the signal that the sugar party is about to begin and releases insulin into your bloodstream in anticipation, only the sugar never arrives. And this is one of my favorite copywriting techniques, and it's to anthropomorphize, that is, give human qualities to a process, to an object, an item. It doesn't work everywhere, obviously. It's like any copywriting technique. You don't just apply it everywhere, like, I don't know, smashing everything with a hammer. But in this case, I think it works quite nicely. So I've done that all throughout this section. So now you've got all this insulin floating around in your bloodstream with nothing better to do, again, like a human type quality, than pack more fat onto your body. Okay, that's not the worst part, because while insulin is busy doing its fat packing routine, twisting the knife, again, anthropomorphizing insulin, it's like you can imagine it like a human doing, I don't know, packing fat onto the walls of the house or something. Your pancreas is hitting up your brain, again, the human quality, with a list of demands that reads sugar, sugar, and more sugar, right? So maybe you think that's good, maybe you don't. Maybe you can see why I'm able to, as Gary Halbert would say, make maximum money in minimum time. I hope you liked it, but ultimately you be the judge. But in any case, that's what I'd like to help you do too, to be able to do that sort of magic, work that sort of magic. Because here's another secret. I also write with a mentor. I wouldn't dream of doing it all myself. In fact, I gave up on the masochism of trying to figure out everything in terms of business and in terms of writing world-class copy uh, ages ago. I've tried it both ways, and having tried it both ways, there is no way I'd ever do it without having someone looking over my shoulder, having my back, right? So basically, whether you apply to work with me or not, I truly believe that one of the biggest mistakes in this business is not having someone, whoever it is, who's more experienced in your corner showing you the way. And if you do think that I might be the right person to play that part, then here's what we could do together. When you work with me, I will be in there in the trenches with you every single workday to help you select your future clients, figure out who they are, who should you actually reach out to, figure out how we actually can help them. I'll help you write, craft those outreach messages, follow up with people, make sure that that you're filling your pipeline and that those conversations turn into calls and turn into deals. I'd help you make offers, so pricing, packaging, all of that stuff, negotiate when someone doesn't say yes immediately, and close deals, and ultimately deliver wins for your clients. So they do cool stuff like pay you more, bring you back, give you referrals, give you great case studies and data that you can use and all of that wonderful stuff. And ultimately, do this while compressing your learning curve into the shortest time possible. So for your information, like it took me 18 months to go from my first copywriting gig, my first real copywriting gig. Technically, you could argue that it was my second. I did one like 300-word product description off Upwork in like 2014 or something. But in terms of real direct response and actually getting into the game and making that my main thing, after I got Neil Patel as a client, it was 18 months from there, really my first direct response client, to having my first $20,000 month. Now, I'm not sure how fast things would have gone and what would have been possible if I'd known everything I know now and everything that I'm able to share since then. But that's really why I'm so excited to hand these strategies and ideas and resources over to a few up-and-coming copywriters to see what you can do with them. Right? I think that's going to be very interesting. So if you want me to be the one to help make you a 1K day copywriter, then your next step is to fill out the application form on this page below this video. What'll happen next is I will review your answers, and then I'll reach out by email to find a time for us to speak. So you can go ahead and fill the form out now. This is the perfect time to do that. And while you do that, let me just say that I believe that by us working together, you'll be able to go after bigger projects sooner, knowing you can deliver results. You'll never have to rely on other people to bring you work. You'll finally probably hit the income and time behind laptop and lifestyle goals that you've been striving for, and you'll do it faster than most could ever hope to. Unfortunately, because of how much time I invest into each of my students and how much my 25-hour work week is devoted to my chess business and other projects, these spots are extremely limited. Specifically, there are like two ways that we can potentially work together. There's one-on-one, like super intense weekly calls, unlimited feedback from me between calls and stuff like that. And there's also a sort of light version where where there'd be fewer or possibly without the calls entirely, but lots of feedback via Loom and let's say Google Docs over the course of the week. So depending on the level of our engagement, like one-on-one, I won't take more than 3 people at a time. It's too much work, and if it's just the feedback, then it's a couple more. But in any case, the spots are extremely limited. I just don't have the bandwidth for more. And frankly, once they're gone, they're gone. And there's a good chance another one won't open up for a long time. So if you know you're ready to take that next step, then I would highly recommend filling out that form. And even if you're just exploring your options right now, you're not sure exactly what direction you want to go in, but you want to check this out further, see if it's for you, then absolutely fill out the application form. Below this video, I'm happy to have a conversation and see if this is a good fit. So I look forward to hearing from you, and frankly, thank you for watching this presentation all the way to the end. 30 minutes is not a short amount of time, and I have nothing but respect for and appreciation for you basically supporting me in one of the most rewarding things I get to do during my workday, which is share the ideas and techniques and strategies that have given me such a great life and to share them with writers like yourself. So frankly, I hope they inspire you to go after the sorts of goals that other people will think you're nuts for having, whatever they happen to be, whether that's like me, like you want to travel, you want to show your family the world and your kids the world, or frankly anything else. It's like it's a choose your own adventure. That's the great thing about doing this. So with that said, I hope you take care, and as always, write well and prosper.